My daughter blamed me for her wedding problems. Here's the shocking truth. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. My daughter pointed at me across the rehearsal room and said I wrecked her wedding. The room stilled. The saxophonist stopped mid-note. The hotel coordinator lowered her clipboard. I stood there with my thick blue folder, tab dividers labeled venue, florist, photographer, caterer, like a firefighter holding a hose in a room people insisted was not burning. I'm Helen, 58, divorced, bookkeeper for a plumbing supply company, steady as utility lines, careful as a seatbelt. Careful paid for Maya's braces, her used Honda, and a degree without loans. Careful also means I check numbers, and numbers were not adding up. A florist said her deposit bounced. The venue claimed the second installment never arrived. The planner, Jules, kept replying with bubbly words and screenshots that showed payment received, but no routing numbers, no trace IDs, no dates in the metadata. Caroline, Dylan's mother, smiled and told me to relax, that she and Jules had relationships that allowed temporary consolidations to secure exclusive upgrades. I asked for confirmations. They sent emojis. I said I would contribute a fixed amount and pay vendors directly. They took it as an insult, not a safeguard. Now, at the rehearsal, Maya's eyes were hard with embarrassment and grief. You always have to control, she whispered. My hands shook, not with guilt, but with the weight of deciding whether to be silent or to be the mother who opens a folder and reads ugly lines of numbers in a pretty room. I took a breath because we tell the truth best on full lungs, not empty ones. Then the venue manager asked who authorized the phantom wire confirmations last Tuesday. After the divorce, I learned how to stretch money without making it scream. I knew the grocery store markdown schedules and which gas station honored coupons without fuss. I logged every expense in a notebook and reconciled it on Sundays. Maya called me small-minded sometimes. You dream in receipts, she said when she was 19 and needed application fees. I did, and those receipts gave her a runway. She loved me and resented me for it. When she got engaged to Dylan, charming, quick with ideas, light on follow-through, she wanted a big ballroom wedding to feel like a news story. I warned her once. Big stories cost in more places than one. She rolled her eyes and hugged me anyway. Caroline floated in like a sponsor, elegant voice, pearl earrings, and confident phrases, exclusive vendor list, industry standard deposits. Don't worry about logistics. Jules, the planner with perfect hair and a reflexive grin, promised to elevate within budget. I repeated my contribution number and put it in writing. Last week Maya snapped during coffee. Your control issues are suffocating, she said because I asked to read a photo contract clause. I swallowed my old fear that care gets mistaken for control. I told myself this was her celebration, not my accounting exercise. But then vendors began calling me instead of Jules or Caroline, and the numbers sounded like smoke alarms. Then the florist whispered that Maya's deposit cleared, reversed, and vanished from their account. The first red flag came as a small hiccup. Jules said weekend processing delays happen. She sent a cropped screenshot of a green check mark and the words payment received. No date stamp, no bank details, no trace ID. I printed it anyway and slid it behind florist. The next day, the bakery left a polite voicemail. The tasting fee was outstanding, contrary to the cheerful email we'd received. That same afternoon, Caroline called with syrup in her tone. Sweetheart, vendors are accustomed to my workflow, she said, as if my unease were an etiquette error. Jules will smooth this over. I answered with a single sentence. Please forward the wire confirmations. Jules replied with a confetti emoji. The hotel sent a reminder that the second installment was past due. I forwarded it to Jules and Caroline. Both replied, handled. The coordinator replied, it wasn't. I copied Maya privately and asked if she'd seen confirmed trace numbers. Stop creating chaos, she texted. Dylan chimed in. Helen, you're undermining the team. I stared at my phone and thought, if a team needs the accountant to stop asking where the money went, it isn't a team, it's a stage set. But I didn't write that. I wrote, please share trace IDs. Silence. I printed the silence, too, by stapling the unanswered request to the email thread. Then the venue asked to meet me in the office about discrepant confirmations. The dress fitting should have been a soft moment. Maya stood on the platform, the seamstress pinning a train that looked like poured milk. It's perfect, I said, because it was. We're adding hand beading, Maya said. Only a small upgrade. I asked the seamstress to note the cost on the work order and sign. Maya's face went bright and hard. You can't let anything be beautiful without a price tag, she said loud enough for the mirrors to catch it. I signed anyway, because future arguments cost more. On my way to the parking lot, the venue emailed again about the missing payment. I forwarded it. Jules sent a champagne emoji. The coordinator replied with a PDF ledger showing no funds received, no pending traces. I printed the ledger and put it in the blue folder under venue. The family group chat lit up. Caroline said she would centralize communication to reduce confusion. Dylan wrote, "Let us handle Helen." Maya wrote, "Mom is making us look disorganized." I typed, erased, then typed, "Please provide bank trace numbers." No reply. That night, I made tea and spread the folder on my kitchen table. The cat sat on caterer. I added sticky notes with dates. I set my alarm early. I would meet the venue manager in the morning, ask simple questions, and write down every answer like a stenographer of plain truth. Then I found 2 florist invoices with identical totals, but different routing numbers. I'm not a detective, I'm a bookkeeper. But books tell stories if you let them. The florist's invoice number 1473, dated 2 weeks ago, listed Bloom and Beam LLC at a bank route ending in 2117. Yesterday, a resent invoice number 1473 arrived from a similar email, now payable to Beam Event Holdings with a routing number ending in 3192. Same date, same amount, different destination. Fonts didn't match. The sender domain shifted from Bloom and Beam. Com to Bloom and Beam. Company. I opened the message headers and saw a return path that didn't align with the from line. Jules's emails also changed domains, from Jules at Jules Planning. Com. To Jules at Plan with Jules. Co. I printed everything. Then I checked the photographer packet and found an NDA for high-profile clients, requiring disputes to be arbitrated by a party selected by the planner. I never saw Maya sign that. I called the florist using the number on their website, not the email signature. "We only use the 2117 account," the owner said, voice tired and wary. I asked for a written note confirming that. She sent one. I added it to the folder. My chest felt like a drawer crammed too full. This wasn't a hiccup, it was a siphon. If I told Maya, she'd hear only control. If I said nothing, the rope would pull tighter. I sharpened a pencil and wrote a timeline on yellow paper. Then a deposit receipt surfaced, routed briefly through Caroline Ward Management's account. The venue manager closed his office door and clicked open a screen. "We received an email from Jules confirming the second installment on Tuesday," he said, "but the trace number doesn't exist." He read the alphanumerics. I matched them to my printed thread. "We're not trying to disrupt the rehearsal," he added. "We just need funds we can see." I thanked him for candor, asked for a copy of their internal ledger, and wrote the request time in my notebook. Next stop, the florist shop. The owner recognized my voice and printed a statement. Initial deposit received to 2,117, reversed 2 days later, replacement request sent from the codomain with routing 3192. "We didn't authorize the change," she said. I drove across town to the photographer. The assistant's eyes jumped when she pulled up our file. 2 rush fee change orders logged during the exact hours Maya and I were at the dress fitting. "Authorized by event lead J.P.," she said. "Jules Pearson." "Please print those," I said. She slid them across in a manila envelope. On the highway back, my phone buzzed with a bright text from Caroline. "Let's keep the energy positive. Jules has everything aligned." I didn't answer. I pulled into my driveway, turned off the engine, and sat in the quiet car, listening to it ping as it cooled, like a house settling after an earthquake. Then I spotted 2 cash advances tied to an emergency card Dylan mentioned casually. The breadcrumb trail thickened. The cash advances posted late Thursday nights, both within hours of the photographer's rush orders. The saxophonist's invoice said cash only. A pattern formed. Deposits detoured, rush fees added, cash converted, vendors confused. I checked the state business registry. Caroline Ward Management, formed last April, registered to Caroline A. Ward, manager. The name matched the bank receipt that flashed across a vendor thread for a few hours before disappearing. I printed the registry entry. I didn't know the extent of it yet, only the shape. I called my bank to ask how to verify wire confirmations from the receiving side. They told me which fields vendors could share without compromising security. I made a checklist. That evening, I laid everything on my kitchen table, and my brother, Uncle Rob Tamaya, stopped by with a contractor's instinct for structure. He looked over the papers silently, then said, "If the beams are off, the drywall smiles at you." See the smile? I saw it. Right times. Keep originals. Don't accuse yet, he said. Collect. We aren't dramatic people. We hammer until it's plumb. I planned a meeting with the venue and florist for Friday afternoon and asked them to display their ledgers on screen so no one could claim transcription errors afterward. Then Jules texted, "Please stop contacting vendors directly. You're harming professional relationships and timelines." Mini twist. I realized I already knew what, just not how deep. The reroute wasn't a glitch. Jules and Caroline had a kickback arrangement dressed as consolidation. Caroline's LLC was the temporary lake. Vendors were told the river would meet them later for discounts. Discounts never arrived. Instead, invoices cloned themselves and lines blurred. Meanwhile, Dylan's credit seemed brittle. The venue's system showed a declined card attempt weeks ago. The saxophonist asked for cash because the card didn't stick. 2 ATM withdrawals mirrored 2 rush orders. The venue sent a courtesy notice. Pay today or the date opens. Maya's dress, now altered, couldn't be returned. The line of credit I co-signed last year to replace her transmission pinged a review flag due to linked high-risk activity. That made my throat go dry. These were not only Maya's risks, they were mine. I could take the blame to protect her from Caroline's elegance and Dylan's pride. Or I could pry up the floorboards and show everyone the pipes. I decided to do both in sequence. Secure what could be secured, then reveal what must be revealed where no one could privately rewrite it. I scheduled the Friday sit-down as a timeline alignment. I invited Maya and Dylan, not Caroline. Then Caroline replied anyway that she would join to defuse panic and maternal dramatics. Plans call me. I wrote mine like a recipe. Step 1. Ask vendors to resend invoices and confirmations directly to me and Maya from official domains only. Step 2. Request trace numbers and bank confirmations on letterhead or via portal, no screenshots. Step 3. Record calls where legal. Begin with "I'm taking notes" and repeat back numbers. Step 4. Pay only essentials directly by card or verified wire in our names with paid in full on receipts. Step 5. Consult a lawyer. I paid for 30 minutes and asked, what if deposits were rerouted without consent? She said, collect evidence, avoid defamatory statements, and if necessary, notify vendors in writing that future funds will bypass intermediaries. Then she said the most helpful thing, facts are oxygen. If someone's story needs a closed room, open a window. I carried that sentence like a flashlight. Moral dilemma remained. Tell Maya now and shatter her before she walked down an aisle. Or hold the net steady and let her step onto it when she chose to look down. I chose the net. I confirmed the conference room with the venue, asked for the projector, and told the florist to bring account history. I asked the photographer assistant to stop by afterward. I told no one else. Then Maya whispered at tasting, "If you humiliate me tomorrow, I'll never forgive you." The tasting turned into theater. Caroline arrived in silk and sympathy. "Helen, I know budgets stress you," she murmured to the coordinator within my hearing, a perfectly shaped dagger. Dylan squeezed Maya's shoulder, and she leaned into him, desperate for stillness. I wanted to say, take it all, just don't make her cry again. The coordinator slid a thin printout beside my plate, the venue's ledger. I didn't read it yet. Caroline dabbed her eyes as if generosity exhausted her. "We have everything under control," she told me, soft and firm. I excused myself, stood in the hallway, and texted the florist. "Tomorrow's display confirmed?" "Yes." "Photographer assistant. Can swing by after lunch." "Yes." I washed my face in the restroom and stared at a woman who has been called controlling for most of her adult life because she knew the price of things. When I returned, Maya's gaze pleaded, "Say nothing." I could hold my tongue if I could hold the facts in the light. I whispered, "We'll look at the same screen." She swallowed. Dylan pushed his chair back and said to no one, "This energy is toxic," as if numbers carried moods. Caroline smiled the way people smile at stubborn children. Then I murmured, if the truth humiliates us, the lie already has. Friday, the conference room. Glass wall, dim lights, a projector. The venue manager, the florist's owner, the photographer's assistant, Maya, Dylan, and me. The door opened again. Caroline and Jules arrived uninvited, rolling charisma before them like a red carpet. We'll help align stakeholders, Jules said. The manager nodded politely. We're reviewing timelines, payments, and authorizations with documents visible to all. He connected the laptop. The venue ledger filled the screen. Second installment, he said. We received an email confirmation, but the trace doesn't exist. He zoomed in on the non-existent number. I matched it to the one in my folder. The florist owner pulled up their account. Invoice number 1473. Deposit to 2,117. Reversed 2 days later. Replacement request from Bloom & Beam. Co-directed funds to 3192. We do not use that account. Jules's smile held. Processor change, she said. Standard. The photographer assistant slid forward 2 printouts. Rush fees, authorized by J.P. During hours overlapping with Maya's dress fitting. Dylan cleared his throat. There could be bank lag. The venue manager turned a page and read the state registry. Caroline Ward Management formed last April, he said. Principal Caroline A. Ward. He clicked to bank lines supplied by a vendor. Deposits briefly pooled, then cashier's checks to third parties. He paused. Why? Then he asked, who authorized routing client funds through Caroline Ward Management without disclosure? Silence first, then a rustle. Caroline's face did not move, only tightened. It's a temporary consolidator, she said. My relationships provide upgrades and preferred access. No preferred rate appears here, the florist said. Jules leaned on jargon. Velocity, batching, last-mile settlements. The words didn't land. And these authorizations? The photographer assistant asked, tapping the rush orders. Maya didn't sign. Maya looked at Dylan. Did you know? Dylan spread his hands. We were trying to keep options open. My folder opened like a gate. I laid down headers, domain lookups, the duplicate invoice, the mismatched fonts, the wire fields on venue letterhead, the ATM withdrawals time-stamped hours before rush orders, the saxophonist's cash-only note. I kept my voice calm. I wasn't trying to control your wedding, I said to Maya. I was trying to find the money that left your name. Caroline's voice dropped the silk. You're petty and territorial, she said. Jules's smile collapsed. Dylan sat back, eyes on the door like a runner. The venue manager folded his hands. Given the discrepancies, we'll accept direct payment today for a reduced package and lock the date, he said, or we release the hall. Maya covered her mouth. The florist said they would honor original rates if paid to 2,117 by noon. I looked at my daughter and waited for her to choose the window or the closed room. Then Maya whispered, pay the venue directly now and show me every single receipt. Fallout was brisk. We took the scaled-down package. The chef trimmed the menu. The ballroom shrank to a courtyard ceremony with a simple reception room. The florist voided the rerouted request and restored the original invoice. The photographer removed the rush fees and put notes on file that only Maya could authorize changes. Jules was terminated effective immediately by unanimous will of everyone but Jules. She threatened to escalate. The venue manager's expression did not change. Caroline announced she would involve counsel. The venue manager said, please do. Dylan stormed out of the conference room, phone pressed to his ear, saying words that sounded like plans and felt like smoke. Maya sat beside me and cried until nothing came. I put away my checkbook. I'll cover essentials, I said, but only if invoices come to you and me directly with traceable receipts. The florist nodded. The venue nodded. Maya nodded. We paid the venue at the desk with my card. The receipt printed with the words paid in full and a trace number I copied into my book. I went home and cried into a dish towel, as if the towel could hold grief like water. Saving the day can break your heart in a different place than losing it. Then Dylan texted Maya. If your mom controls this, I'm out until Sunday afternoon. Saturday morning, therapy. The counselor asked questions that made space. Maya spoke about growing up with my calculator tics and my habit of hovering over contracts like a hawk, even when she wanted the sky without measurement. I spoke about waking at 3 to check a bill because a number felt wrong in my bones. We wrote boundaries on a legal pad. No third-party routing, no screenshots as receipts, all contracts reviewed aloud. My contribution capped and written, any pressure equals pause. The counselor said, boundaries aren't punishments, they're frames. That sentence became a hinge in the door. Sunday, the wedding moved outside. White chairs on stone, a string of soft lights, bouquets like daylight in small hands. The florist tucked rosemary in my corsage. The photographer stood back, quiet and kind. Dylan was 15 minutes late and tight with silence. Caroline sat straight and contained. The vows were smaller and truer, spoken without microphones. When Maya laughed through her tears, the sound didn't need a ballroom to echo. We hugged in the reception room, with simple food and music from a friend's playlist. No saxophonist, no neon, no champagne tower. Only names on envelopes that matched the people we paid. That night, in my kitchen, we ate cake with paper plates. Then Maya held my hand and said, I finally understand why you triple-check everything. Reflection doesn't glitter, but it holds. What I learned: love is not the waiver you sign to let someone siphon your child's future cleanly. Love asks, where did the money go, and refuses to accept trust us as a receipt. Money does not corrupt. It reveals the patterns we already traced in pencil. I learned to separate help from rescue. Help has conditions. Rescue has none. Help says, yes, if, and writes the if down. Rescue swallows red flags and calls it kindness. I learned that being called controlling is the price you pay for touching the brakes when a hill appears. I told Maya that marriage is not a ledger, but it does record what a couple values: transparency, accountability, listening. She smiled and said no more burner domains. We boxed leftover flowers for neighbors. The cat batted a ribbon under the fridge, and I let it go. If you're watching this with Bill's fan on your table and a room full of people who insist that asking for trace numbers is rude, hear me. Dignity has a reference code. It prints on the receipt of your choices. You can love loudly and verify quietly, and the right people will not call that small. Then ask yourself who benefits most when you stop asking for proof anymore.